Deep in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, there's a place, an ancient ruin that just, well, it doesn't make any sense. It seems to break all the rules we know, the laws of physics, the story of history we've all been taught. It's built on a scale that's so completely impossible, it forces you to question absolutely everything. This is the incredible mystery of Baalbek.
So, let me just ask you something right off the bat. How would you move a single, solid block of stone that weighs 800 tons? I mean, really think about that. That's like trying to move 3 Boeing 747 jumbo jets all at once. And at Baalbek, that's just the beginning of the puzzle. Because whoever built this place didn't just move one of these monsters, they moved several. And that's really the feeling you get the second you walk into Baalbek. The sheer size of the stonework, it is so overwhelming, so completely out of scale with anything human, that your brain immediately starts searching for some kind of extraordinary explanation.
Now let's be super clear here. We are not talking about some temple carved out of the existing bedrock. No. The entire complex sits on top of a man-made platform built from these colossal blocks. And these stones were cut out of a quarry nearly a kilometer away, then somehow transported to the site, and then positioned with a kind of precision that is just breathtaking.
You know, almost everyone who goes there feels the exact same way. This quote right here, it just perfectly captures that immediate gut-level feeling you get standing in that place. The scale is so far beyond what we think of as human that, honestly, giants feels like the only word that even comes close to describing it. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around what we're dealing with, let's just zoom in on one part of this massive complex, the foundation walls. These are the walls that hold up the main platform. And this is where the numbers start to get truly mind-boggling.
400 tons. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the weight of the smaller stones that make up the base of the foundation. I mean, each one of these blocks is as tall as a house and as long as a bus. And incredibly, these are just the opening act.
And this isn't just one or two big show-off pieces either. We are talking about an entire wall stretching for more than 100 meters, just made up of block after block after block, each one weighing several hundred tons. The sheer number of them is just as staggering as their size. It just keeps going.
But you know, it's not just about the raw power needed to move these things. If you get up close, you start to see these subtle clues carved right into the stones. Little details that point to a level of technology, a style of building that feels totally out of place for the ancient world.
Yeah, looking really closely at the stonework just opens up a whole new can of worms. People have pointed out marks that look for all the world like they were made by gigantic circular saws. You see these strange knobs sticking out from the blocks, and some of them have these perfect square holes drilled right through them. And then there's the style itself. Some stones are polygonal, almost kind of puffy, and they fit together like a perfect jigsaw puzzle. Others just curve around corners flawlessly. This isn't your simple hammer and chisel work, not by a long shot.
And this right here perfectly sums up the big paradox of Baalbek. On one hand, you've got these unbelievably huge brute force blocks, but on the other, the craftsmanship, the way they fit together, it's described as insane, almost like modern, machine-like precision. How can those two things even exist in the same structure? And what makes this even more fascinating is that these weird building techniques, they aren't unique to Baalbek. The narrator in our source material points out that the whole style, the puzzle piece shapes, the insane precision, those little knobs, it's incredibly similar to what you find at other mysterious ancient sites, all the way from the Andes in Peru to the Valley Temple at Giza in Egypt. So, are we looking at evidence of some kind of shared, lost building tradition that's stretched across the globe?
But look, as mind-blowing as those 400-ton foundation walls are, they really only exist for one reason: to hold up the most famous, the most inexplicable feature about Baalbek, and it's waiting for us right on top of the western wall.
All right, so picture this with me. We've climbed up. We are now standing about 30 feet in the air. That's almost 3 stories high above the ground. We are on top of that massive foundation that we were just looking at. We're on the western wall of the main platform. And right there, forming the very next layer of this wall, are 3 single monolithic stones. They are known to legend as the Trilithon. Each one of those 3 stones weighs an estimated 800 tons. And remember, they're not on the ground. They are sitting on top of the 400-ton foundation blocks. They were quarried, moved almost a kilometer, and then somehow lifted 3 stories into the air and placed perfectly.
And here's the part that just blows my mind.
Despite weighing 800 tons each, the seam between these colossal blocks is, well, it's almost invisible. The fit is so perfect, so precise, you couldn't slip a credit card between them. It's just absolutely remarkable.
So all of this brings us to the final and really the most important question that just hangs over all of Baalbek. We have no records, not from the Romans, not from anyone, claiming they built this megalithic foundation. We're just left with this simple, unsolved riddle. Who on earth could have built this and how?
Just think about the sheer impossibility of the task one more time. Mainstream history just doesn't have an explanation for how this was done. People have tried to do the math on the manpower it would take, but even with, say, 800 people, that's still a ton of crushing weight for each person to handle. It just doesn't seem possible with any kind of ancient technology we know about.
And when you don't have a conventional explanation, what you're left with are the ancient traditions and the legends. Local stories say it was built by demons or by mythological figures like Kronos or Cain, who themselves were linked to the biblical Nephilim. But the most common reaction, that gut feeling, from ancient myths to modern visitors, is the same. It must have been giants.
So what is the answer to the riddle of Baalbek? Are we looking at evidence of a lost high technology from some forgotten civilization? Are the ancient legends of giants and titans maybe more than just myths? Or does this incredible site represent a chapter of our own human history that we've just completely forgotten? The stones themselves, well, they remain silent, leaving us with nothing but these incredible questions.